Good morning. Here you go. Just wanted to brighten up the view for y'all. So, um, so recipe for today is I was just talking about this. One of my favorite kind of all-purpose recipes for throwing on to food. Good morning, Paula. Good morning. It's good morning. Avedita, the sound is unbelievable. Avedita, you know what? Of course you can understand because it's new and it's technology and it's a huge thing. So I'm so sorry if you can understand. Okay, there's one thing I can do is I will pick you up. Excuse me while I for you. No, I did not hang up on you. And how is the okay, is the sound better right now? Is the only thing I know how to do with the sound, and if this doesn't work, you're just gonna have to be okay with sounding like it is right now. You just think about the same thing. Is it better? It's not better. It's wrong. Right. I okay. So feedback on the sound, and then we do this. It's not. It is exactly the same setting as I always do. And it's just amazing how. Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm just going to continue as though. Y'all can hear because I have no idea what to do doing this. So we're going to speak loudly and hopefully y'all can hear. And I'll use a lot of gestures and I'll write it out. So beyond that, I'm stumped because it's technology and I do technology. All right. So the recipe for today is based on a traditional recipe from Japanese cooking from macrobiotic cooking, specifically called Gomasio. Literally, Goma means sesame seed and Sio means salt. So it's a combination of sesame and salt. And the concept behind it is taking so sesame seed as also, so one of the primary concepts here is that seeds are where we get oils from, right? Most of the plant oils that we use come from seeds. A few of them come from fruit. Like so we have avocado oil and coconut oil, things like that. So there are fruit oils. Fruit oils generally tend to be more polyunsaturated fats, tend to be more stable in heat changes. There's the seed oils tend to be higher in unsaturated fats, which can be less stable in changes in temperature, and they're much more abundant, much more abundant. So the sesame seed, the oil from sesame seeds, the sesame oil, has a unique quality to it, which may be one of the reasons why it's used in this recipe. So this makes perfectly delicious, right? Sesame seeds are just yummy food, and sesame seeds are. So the recipe is that the basic recipe for Gomasio is you take sesame seeds and you roast them over heat. Roasting is going to release the oil from the seed, so you'll see that if you heat them, you'll see the heat that comes with them as the oil migrates to the surface of the seed heading. And then they'll start to pop like little tiny popcorn, little tiny popcorn at that moment, when that's happening, there's also a compound being released, a unique compound that was not there before and is there now, called sesamin. And sesamin is an antioxidant. Antioxidants are important when we're working with oil because oils are subject to acidity. Oils feel bad, right? And the acidity of oil is one of the worst things that we can have. And so we want something to protect oils, particularly when you're subjecting them to heat. It's really, really important that either avoid heating oils or protect the oils that are heated, or use oils that are stable in heat. So the sesamin, as the heat of sesamin is released, and the sesamin compound exerts a protective effect on the oils themselves, so it extends the shelf life of sesamin oil in the food when they're heated. When they're heated, raw sesamin oil has no sesamin because it is not an oxidant. So raw is defensive or sesamin oil. Here's defensive oil, and generally heated is crushed is seed oil. That is very, very heavy in culture because that's that intense damage to those oils. But when there's a shelf life, it's really, really small. Right? It would just go to landfill quickly, and you know that doesn't happen in such a second to go. That will go bottle last for really, really long. Because it's the lemon, it's like this. So when you're saying the first is often oil is better than the non-first because it's stable. In terms of flexibility. Yes, well, otherwise, it's limited in its usefulness just because it's a very strong flavor, right? You can't use the same volume of the purchase of the oil in kind of rocket oil just because that amount of flavor would just smack you. It would really, really stress it. Right? So that would be one of the primary things. I'll do that, too. Yeah, but in terms of like stability and safety for the body and family, I don't know. Because generally we just don't use purchase oil in that volume, so I think we just don't need that. And I would be concerned with all of those, you know how I feel about caramelization. I love caramelization. I love tasting, but it does change the chemistry of what you're working with, and that change is likely not beneficial in a large volume. And when you see sesame seed oil, and then we're going to get off of sesame seed oil, sorry, and the seed oil pieces. The poetry. You never see, look at the darkness of that poetry, that part of that is a conversation, but you never see a structural change that strong that doesn't have a lot of damage and consideration to those secondary, tertiary metabolites, the non-fatty acid components of the oil, right? The unsaccharnable fat that is the oil. That's all the stuff that's being damaged, treated and damaged, and it increases that flavor. But I'm just going to guess that all of that is not protected the way that the fatty acid is. All right. So we're not going to use sesame seeds here today because I want to bring in other seeds that we commonly use in herbalism, two primary ones that I particularly love. And one of them stands in really, really well for sesame in this recipe. And that is milk thistle seed. So milk thistle, one of the most beloved of seeds in herbalism, has a primary effect on liver function. It's probably the most heavily studied plant for support of liver function. I don't think there are any clinical studies on any plant that exceeds the volume milk is so effective. Because it has abilities on not only on protection of the liver, but on supporting regeneration and rebuilding of liver. It is anti-hepatotoxic, so it helps to neutralize toxicity of certain compounds when you come in contact with certain compounds, certain toxic compounds. The toxic effect is specifically a hepatotoxic effect. And co-administration of milk and generally just supportive and rebuilding the liver. And so this is one of those compounds that is improving liver detoxification pathway, right? Not in that cytochrome P450 pathway, and so it's less of a problem with co-administration with medication than one of the other liver support medication, one of the other liver supportive compounds, which is ketones. If you don't get yet, you can't talk about the liver effects and medication. Milk thistle, no, because all of the things that milk thistle is doing was not doing, is significantly affecting that particular pathway. So it's safe stuff, very, very safe. It is definitely increasing bile dumping by the liver, and so that is helpful whenever, in general, detoxification strategies. The other nice thing about using milk thistle in this recipe is that milk thistle really likes heat. So the flavonoids are the primary compounds in milk thistle, and these are compounds that are released more, that increase in their bioavailability when it is heated. So we use that same concept of application of heat to release the specimen, where even though these are not hot in the same family, it's not of the same category, it's chemically anything, this is still the thing that heating is going to be releasing and increasing the medicine from the plant. That is not true for the other seed that we're going to be working with, which is nettle seed. The nettle seed, any heat applied to this would likely really damage the constituents here. And so we really want to protect the nettle seed from the heat. So we can use milk thistle in the first part, but we're not going to apply nettle seed. So milk thistle primarily supportive to the liver function. Nettle seed is primarily supportive to kidney function, renal function, helps with increasing general vitality in the body, and it has a profound effect on supporting and healing kidney deficiencies and weakness. There are two others that I know of that have done some really amazing research on severe kidney deficiency and nettle seed, and that is Jonathan Frederick, and David Winston. So if you do a study, if you do a search on nettle seed and those two men, you'll come up with some of their work with their clients, which shows the really profound effects that nettle seed has. It's also just, I just love it. It's just a really kind of enlivening and immersive younger music. So, being seeds, as with all seeds, the chemistry of seeds is generally not water soluble. So we can't ever make tea out of these consistent. Anytime you're using a seed, it is likely that whatever medicine you're doing with that seed, you're not going to want to make a tea out of it. You're not going to want to do anything that has anything to do with water solubility, because seeds are fatty. They're full of fat. The chemistry of them is plant sterols and fatty acids and other fat soluble stuff. And so water is not going to be what we're going to want to use. Neither would be glycerin, because glycerin primarily is water soluble compound. So we're not going to do glycerol either. So our options are, we're either going to use high-fruit alcohol, which is going to use this stuff is non-polar consistent. So you want to use an alcohol concentration at least 70% for extraction, or we eat them, and that's what we're going to do. We're just going to eat them. And whenever we're eating plants, and the benefits of eating plants is that all of those questions of solubility of constituents and best ways to extract it, other than protecting it from being getting organ damage like food, goes out the window, because we're not concerned with solubility. We're eating it through our belly, and we're going to digest it, we're going to get everything. So I can talk about right now because the recipe can be really easy. We're going to take about, I'm going to eyeball these because it's just easy. This is one of those recipes you just throw together. is what I usually do. So about a half tablespoon of salt. Use whatever salt you have. I'm going to add a half cup of each of the seeds. So we start with the milk with the seeds. 4 ounces. This is half cup. We're going to keep it with the salt. So again, this is 2.5. So what's going to happen is we keep the milk with the seeds and the salt. The oil is going to be released from the seeds. We're going to start to smell it. You can smell beautiful because roasting seeds have a delicious smell, right? So we're going to have that increased smell. We're going to be keeping mindful for that. We're also going to hear popping of the seeds as the oil and the moisture in the air and then expand from exposed seeds. They're going to just kind of pop. They don't pop like corn fruit. They're not going to do that. But they'll just give a little pop. And then the wood closely will see a darkening of the seed coating, and we'll see a little bit of glistening that oil coming out. We're not as concerned with the oil coming out here. The milk thistle doesn't have that high oil content as chicken seeds. Yeah, we're going to look at the other higher there, and then I'll kind of bring this around so you start getting fat, so you can smell it. The smell really comes through. I like what you want. And when I make this recipe, I do really like to have it be seed heavy because my favorite flavor in here is the seed flavor. But because you would be making this recipe whenever you make it, you can modify and make any of these kind of categories of additional ingredients higher or lower depending on what you want to do. So we go over the categories that we're waiting for the seeds to start popping. And keep things liquid because you don't want them to burn. You just want them to taste fine wine with these burn. So the other things that we're going to be adding to the base recipe, we could stop with just nettle seed and milk seed. As soon as we put these together, we have the basic, what would be a literal, Gomasio replacement using seeds and salt, and that would be fine. But livestock where we need to use it more. So in addition to that, we are going to add some basics for any seasoning blend, and that would be some granulated garlic and granulated onion. Garlic, a lot of people tend to think about when garlic is used medicinally that the requirement if you're going to get the medicine out of garlic, it needs to be raw, and that is absolutely false. You do not need to have garlic be raw in order to get all of the medicine. Garlic is incredibly complex. Incredibly complex. And a lot of it has to do with breakdown products, sulfur-related breakdown products that are really, really stable and also not there in the fresh garlic. Fresh garlic has to go through a chemical conversion and then a breakdown to make all of these sulfur compounds that are then very, very stable, and those have a lot of good therapeutic effects on cardiovascular health, on immune health, on circulatory health, and all of the things that garlic is supposed to do. The one thing that they don't do is they don't toast that. So if you're using garlic as a thing to toast that, yes, you want raw garlic because you want allergens. Allergens is a compound in garlic to toast that, and allergens only have about a 24-hour shelf life before it starts to break down into the sulfur-based metabolites that are going to be taste right. So if you want garlic to toast that, you need to use fresh garlic. Otherwise, it does not matter what kind of garlic you use. And garlic powder is perfectly okay. You see that happen? And it's not. Alright. So I'm going to And then I'll bring your own. Smell that. It does. It smells very. It's that the sweet thing, right? That's what you do. It's a great big. So I've got this. Oh, you know what? Time that I actually run over and get a grinder and a pot for me too. Sorry about that. I got one. Let me go grab that. So now what we're going to do, we've got that toasted. The oils are released. The lignans are toasted, and so they're going to be more bioavailable. The salt has been coated with the oil, and that's one of the things also in macrobiotic cooking. It's said that when you roast the seeds and the salt together, and you grind them, that coating of salt on the oil, the coating of oil on the salt modifies how the body uses salt, and it helps to kind of regulate what can be salt detrimental effects on infected blood pressure, pulmonary blood pressure, and general fluid and counts in the body. So that's a teaching of macrobiotic cooking. I don't know the exact chemistry behind that, but so what we're going to do is we're going to grind the whole seed and the salt together. And that's going to further coat that, it's going to further coat those salt granules. And further coat the salt granules with the oil from the seed. And then it will also break the seed up and make it more of a So I'm going to grind this because it's going to be a little loud. Here we go. Because the oil content is there, but not too high, you don't have to worry too much about grinding milk sugar seeds the way that you would grinding some other higher oil content seeds where they might be likely to turn into a paste. Like if you continue to grind sesame seeds past their point of the powder, they would turn into disease. I've never been able to get milk sugar to do that, and it sounds pretty fine. So I think it's a oil content. However, there's oil content for the seed. And we've just broken open that outer coating that protects the oil inside. So as soon as you do that, you do want to be mindful, and we're using a compound, a seed here that does not have an inherent protective mechanism the way that sesame does. So we have just broken up and opened those seeds. We've exposed the oil to heat. And we have made those fats less stable in the milk sugar. It's important to recognize that because we do want to be mindful of the fact that this is now a much shorter shelf life formula than the original formula of Gomasio because we're not using sesame seeds, because we don't have this compound. The chemistry of milk thistle that makes it so beneficial and so important for liver function has nothing to do with the fatty acids. Fatty acids turn the nerve into it's the flavonoids, and they like that. The oils in there, which are also present, don't like that. It's just a risk-benefit analysis, a cost-benefit analysis that we have to look at and say, I'm gonna feed it to increase the bioavailability of one compound, acknowledging that it's damaging the other. The big reason for this is now a less shelf-stable thing, and so we're going to want to use this up very quickly, whereas if we had made it with the original recipe, we wouldn't have to use that. I'm going to dump the nettle seeds in here now. We ground up the milk thistle seeds, and I like to grind them up pretty fine. I like to leave some chunky. I don't want it to be a completely fine uh, consistency. If you like it more fine, you can make it very fine. You don't need to grind up nettle seeds because they're so tiny and they're soft that you don't need to ground. And grinding a seed is opening up the contents of that seed and making it less stable. And with the nettle seed, that is more sensitive to disease than milk thistle. So we want to protect the nettle seed as much as possible. But keeping it cold is also going to protect that. Look, you have to kind of see you have to do it. You do, but nettle seed is really soft. It's like septum, right? So it'll be totally digestible. Even if you're swallowing it whole, it's not like swallowing milk with a seed or sunflower seed where you just scoop it out whole, or a flax seed, or a chia seed, right? Lots of other seeds have much harder seed coating on them, but the nettle seed coating is very, very delicate and nice. Yeah. So you'll be able to digest them. All right, I'm going to give you some of this. And we'll get started. So there's a half a teaspoon of salt in here and about a cup and a half, like that. I can't remember half a cup. Of tea. But keep in mind that the minimal amount of salt you use. And again, if you want to stop with this, I got it. Just to cut it on after this. If you know, you can move. Isn't that wonderful? I'm going to throw that on everything. And it just has that salty, considerably salty. It's quite salty. There's not that much salt in there. But because it's with a high amount of fat, and fat carries flavors over the taste buds, you have an increased awareness of salt taste. You can increase the flavor of anything by throwing fat in there. Right? Fat is going to hold things together. So you're able to use a small amount of salt. For people who are sensitive to salt, I do want to say at this time that the concerns about salt with so many issues are overstated, and there are much more complex issues with things like high blood pressure and fluid mechanics in the body than just increasing or decreasing the salt. That being said, a lot of people eat way too much salt and not enough of the other trace minerals that help to balance and regulate the mechanics in the body. So I just don't want to demonize salt and really get into that language of salt is bad in our dominant culture and our understanding of nutrition, and it's been debunked repeatedly. So yes, there are concerns. Of course, there's concerns with everything, but so that's the base. So we can add to that, we're going to add some garlic and onion powder. And I'm just going to dump, I don't know, this is about a tablespoon and a half. I love onion powder. Onion powder is, I think, one of the most unsung seasonings in the food. Love onion anyway, love any type of onion, but onion powder is like a beautiful complexity and sweetness and I like it really good. So you can throw that in there. So onions and garlic, always going to go in there. Other standard seasonings, we have a ginger powder. You can throw some ginger root in there. Yeah, ginger. Anyone not want ginger in there? No. You don't want to do you don't get the ginger. So you can put a little in there. You don't want it to be gingery. You just want kind of that warmth and brightness in there. So it's going to be we're throwing, cayenne. Probably cayenne. We'll keep it light. I'll put in application. Cayenne. You can always modify it later. Black pepper. There are people who don't think that. I'm going to put a lot of pepper in there. So those are some basic, and then turmeric. Because how are you going to make an herbal thing if you don't put turmeric in there? Turmeric is really easy to overpower, and you can put a little bit in there. So we're starting to build a blend, and so as you're building it, if you go in and tweak and modify things. Not even put any more clay in there. Whew, that's good. So now we can throw in other herbs. So we have, oh, no, sorry, other standard flavoring herbs are the aromatics, right? So the aromatic kinds are things like sage and rosemary, thyme, oregano, basil. All of those also are going to contribute beautifully to a recipe. However, you don't want to keep those in a powder form because they're aromatic. And aromatic things, by their nature, are volatile, right? Volatile things are going to leave a powder form, and so they're not going to be as flavorful. And so whenever we're dealing with aromatics, I've got some basil and I've got thyme here. So whenever we're dealing with those in a powder formula, we want to grind them fresh. We don't want to use them we don't ever want to buy them powder. Don't ever buy aromatic powder. But if we grind them fresh, we can release all of those aromatics as a whole leaf. We can protect it, kind of like we're talking about with the seeds, right? We break things up, we're exposing more surface area to whatever is going to break down those constituents. Different things for the fatty acids than it is for the aromatics. Gomasio is a people, and my computer with my cousin Japanese, I'll make this Thistle. Oh, I am really, well, exactly, and you're sneaking herbs in the fruit. Exactly, Annalisa. Yeah. And you can sneak a lot of herbs in this, so remind me about sneaking later on, because I'm going to talk about that more directly important thing. Yeah, but exactly, yeah. Throw it on everything. You say it's a seasoning thing. You start and throw it on the seasoning thing. Yeah. And then they're doing, Nettle and all the other stuff. All right, I'm going to grind for 2 minutes. 3, 2, 1. But they're like, they don't need a lot of grinding. We don't need all of that in there, but we just need most of them. All right. It's not a hard no right away. Okay, so we've got those aromatics in there. So we've got aromatics, we've got onion garlic, we've got the other standard herbs. One other thing that I really love to throw into blends like this is mushroom powder. So this is our 14 mushroom blend. Mushroom powder has a really neutral flavor to it, and so it can go into all sorts of different things. And in here, it's just going to modify some of the flavors. Actually, it's going to lend a little bit of bitterness to it, a little bit of starchiness to it, and round out the flavors in here. And we're getting mushrooms that have been cleaned, powdered, and steamed, so they're immediately bioavailable. They don't need to be cooked in order to be activated. That's really important. If you are going to put mushroom powders in here, they need to be pre-treated with steam. They need to have heat and water and time applied to them in order to break down the cell walls and make them available. If you don't do that, then you're just going to be keeping them right out. So now we can add in other more therapeutic compounds. And here again, you've got so many different options that you can throw in here. I like to keep it pretty light. I do want to keep the primary flavor profile of the tea, because I really like that flavor. And it's really easy to go overboard and just throw in all the stuff into a formula, especially if you're just excited about all of the options. Because you can throw in Nettle powder. You could throw in dandelion root powder, dandelion root powder. I've got burdock powder. Burdock is kind of like the mushroom powder, and then it's neutral, a little bit sweet, spicy, so it rounds out the flavor really nicely. Since we're using a lot of kind of stronger flavors, it's nice to have something that's a little bit sweet and mild and spicy. And burdock is a vegetable, right? And so it's Now, speaking, if you were to be using any of these therapeutic compounds, you wanted to rely on this recipe as a medium for getting therapeutic compounds into a person, right? They're not willing to take tinctures or teas or capsules or whatever you're giving them, but for some reason, they'll do it good. Then it's helpful to be able to know how much you're getting. Right? And so the way that you're going to calculate that is that if you are going to add mushroom powder to this formula, and say you add 60 grams, 60,000 milligrams. Most mushroom supplements are measured in milligrams rather than grams, so we'll go with the standard measurement. So you put 60 grams or 60,000 milligrams into this recipe kit, right? That would be about 2 ounces in volume of powder. Now, if you wanted to get 2 grams a day of mushroom powder, right, that would be a good basic daily dosage just for getting some of the benefits of mushroom. It's not a therapeutic dosage, but it's a good daily dosage. What you'd want to do is figure, well, if you put 60 grams, 40 milligrams, and then went back down to grams, and there's a little confusing, so I'm just going to keep it in grams. So you put 50 grams in there, and our target dosage is 2 grams. All you're going to need to do is weigh this total amount here, and then divide that amount by 30, because 60 divided by 30, we have 2, if we're looking at 2 gram amount, we're going to have 30 2-gram amounts, 60 grams, right? So we're going to take this, we're going to divide this by 30, and if this whole thing measures, let's see, 420, 240, I would say there's maybe 600 grams, or 600 grams, so that's even that. So let's say there's 600 grams in here. We have 600 grams total of this powder, and we're looking at 30 servings, dividing that into 30 servings, we would see that that would be 20 servings. If we divided this amount into 20 servings, each serving would have 2 grams of mushroom powder. Right? And so that's how you could measure your formula and just know that, this amount. Now that would be an amount about that would fit in this little cup here, right? That's significant. That's not just, you can't just get that from sprinkling powder on your sandwich, right? You'd have to make a concerted effort to get that in. But if that's your only source, right, that you're using, then that is how you would generally measure total volume of something in a recipe. You can apply that to any kind of recipe. We're applying it to this because it's more measurable, because you wouldn't be using that volume. That is your general method for measuring how much of one ingredient in the total recipe will give you. Is that clear? Is that right? Yeah. So helpful. I was thinking about that as well. Trying to figure out how much of this thing in there that I'm getting. I'm trying to get at the amount I don't know how to do it. Yeah. All right. So we have burdock powder in there. I like baobab powder. That's another one we're going to throw in here. Baobab fruit comes from the baobab tree. It's got a citrus flavor. We don't really have anything acidic in here, right? And so that's going to also balance that flavor out a little bit. Also a little bit sweet. So baobab powder is really, really good. Then I could throw some lemon peel powder in here, something like that. You could throw lemon juice powder in there too. Lemon juice powder would make it much more acidic. A vinegar powder would make it acidic if you wanted to throw those in there and wanted to keep it herbal. And if you want to manage that, yeah. So baobab powder was what I had. That was a good acid. And then the final one, moringa. Just because I wanted something green in there, and moringa has a nice, little bit spicy, green, relatively neutral flavor. Now this could easily be nettle or dandelion leaf whatever other ingredients that we have. This is just the one that I need to come out and take it. So a little bit of some moringa in there. Same thing with the price. You wanted to figure out how much moringa you wanted to have in there. Other ways is you can do it another way. If your target amount was you wanted to get 2 grams of mushroom powder into people, right? That was the goal. I want to have this in that formula. You just kind of back into that, saying, okay, 2 grams, I made 500 grams of powder, and I want to have 30 servings per, then you would do 30 into 500 would be a little bit under that 1 gram amount because you have not yet added in the mushroom powder yet the mark of the good morning, sis. Okay, well, welcome. All right, so we threw in some moringa and burdock, baobab powder, or spices, our basic herbs. You can also throw in, if you like nutritional yeast is also really, really nice to give it kind of that more, people refer to it as cheesy flavor, right? What do y'all feel about that? Again, this is why it's really, really easy to overdo it and all of a sudden use that I'm going to say this, I guess. How can you not this? All right, that's the recipe. So we have created a recipe. One, I haven't used this before with moringa and baobab. This is a new recipe. Under the body, similar like this powder, like we got so much dandelion. We got a second system of solvent. Now, that's what we did. It's easy to do it, right? If you eat burdock, say if you buy burdock as gobo root, right? Buy raw burdock root, you can steam that, and you cook it, and then eat it. Hopefully, we have a robust digestive system that can break those down because we're using powder. Because in the powdering process, we've used a hammer mill, right, to break down the very hard. You're right that if we had, whole, burdock root is pretty soft. If we had dandelion powder or dandelion root, pretty hard to make it. If we have whole dandelion root pieces, it'd be likely that those would go through the gastrointestinal tract and be pushed out, and you wouldn't have absorbed everything in there because they're large pieces. But this is the key to making powder, because it will reduce the surface area, and so the more you reduce the surface area of something, the more the stuff can come in at it. What that stuff is, in the digestive system, is moisture and digestive enzymes and organisms, stuff that's working bile, all of the stuff that's working on digestion. So because we have broken the size of it down to a powder, our digestive system will be able to do the job of the solvent, and that is one of the benefits of using recipe life, is that we're not relying on solvent. We're using our digestive system. Now, that does come into play. You have a very good point when it comes to mushrooms. And I talked about this a little bit, but I do want to kind of turn it up because we brought this up. Doesn't matter the other ones, we're just using the surface area, and then we'll be able to absorb, right? With mushrooms, they have that chitinous cell wall on the outside, and we remember that chitin, the structural compound, mushrooms are in a different kingdom of living organisms, right? So we have the animal kingdom, we have the plant kingdom, we have the viral kingdom, we chitin is analogous to cellulose in mushroom. It is a structural compound. So in a plant, we have plant cell walls, right? And organelles, we have plant cell walls, and those cell walls are made of cellulose, right? That's fiber. We poop it out whenever we eat a lot of plant foods, right? So that's cellulose. We don't produce cellulase, which is the enzyme to digest cellulose. Ruminant animals do, like cows, but we do not. And that's why we can poop out cellulose, because it's a fiber that we don't digest. And cellulose, when we're breaking down the cell walls into powders like this, we are breaking the cell walls, and we're accessing the internal constituents inside this cell wall, and we're accepting it. And that is medicine, it's exactly accepting the cell wall. With mushrooms, somewhat the same and also not, because this cell wall is not cellulose, it is chitin. And chitin has to be broken down into a compound called beta-glucan in order to be bioavailable. Beta-glucan is the long-chain sugar in mushrooms that is primarily responsible for the deep and profound immune supportive effects that mushrooms have. There's a lot of other chemistry of mushrooms that makes them beneficial in different ways. So here, we're just talking about the conversion of chitin to the beta-glucan for immune support. To do that, we got to boil it in water. The water is in, probably it's nothing like any of those solvents. We need time and heat and water in order to convert chitin into beta-glucan. So you can't just grind mushrooms into a powder and throw them into formula like this, right? That's not going to work. And it's not because it's going to go through undigested or all the other stuff that is bioavailable that we would not have made that conversion. So when you're buying a mushroom powder, that's why we say it's important to have it cleaned. It needs to be treated. And when they make this, they're treating it for a couple of days. And usually it's heat and water. And so it is at home. So it is not in. Right? Does that make sense? You want to tell you? So I have one of my favorite things to put this on is tomatoes. You gotta have tomatoes. You don't have tomatoes, you don't have to have tomatoes. We have also carrots. My favorite thing, well, one of my favorite things to make this up to put this on is popcorn. It's really, really, really good on popcorn. I forgot to get popcorn in there today, so I'm not getting my popcorn. But I have, exactly. Got little bags over there. You can grab a bag and a label, and then if you want to take some of this home, you can do that. And if you want to try, so yeah, just sticking veggies in it is another very good business. Really good on cucumbers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any questions about this? Any questions from any of this? About this? No? Super easy recipe, infinitely variable. I have played with this recipe with a couple of my classes, making a sweet version instead of a savory version. This is kind of fun, not 100% effective, but I think more research is but I really love this savory one. So, but also remember that you can keep it just as relatively neutral by just using the tea and a little bit of salt. And that is a very, very neutral flavor. You can throw that into a lot of different types of recipes. Anyway, there you go. Hopefully that was a good class. I'm glad that the challenge stuff seems to get stuff out really that place that doesn't know why it doesn't get any chicken. And that's it. Glad y'all stayed around. And I'll see you next week. Okay. All right. See you later. Bye-bye.